because being at the center of all this, he was very much familiar with this. The fact the site existed, had seen it, and his words were, quote, yes, it's pretty damning, is what he said. And Jose's a really good guy. I thought I'd bring him on, and so we will do that shortly. In the next hour, we're going to have David Jacobs here, who I really like. David has a new book out. And David is actually one of the only ufologists that I'm aware of that in his book, Thread, and that's basically, believe it or not, why I want to come back on tonight. I have always believed, and I continue to believe now, that they are here, as it were. I think they are. And David Jacobs thinks they may not be friendly. He wrote a book called The Threat. And of all the ufologists that I talk to, I'm telling you right now, David is the only one who ever had the temerity to write such a thing, that they might not be our friends. And that has always intrigued me, and so I want to have him back on tonight. He's got a new book called UFO Abductions, Challenging the Borders of Knowledge. And then, just about an hour before airtime, I got a call from Bud Hopkins. Yes, Bud Hopkins. Who said, hey, Art, what's the chance of getting on with David at the beginning of the, that spot in David Jacobs, rather. And I said, well, sure, Bud, let me ask David, and I did. He said, fine. So, David Jacobs, along with Bud Hopkins, in the next hour. Should be very interesting. World news, what's going on? Well, here's some scuttlebutt, and that's, at this hour, that's all it is scuttlebutt. It could be wrong. I had a friend on ham radio who said, hey, Art, I just saw on Fox News that the entire country of Italy just lost power. And I talked briefly with Whitney Streeter and said, no, Art, I've heard a lot of scuttlebutt over the years. That there could be some sort of terrorist action regarding power, just scuttlebutt. In fact, the whole story of Italy losing power could at this hour be scuttlebutt. I don't know, but thought I would mention that to you. Could be incorrect. President Bush and Russian President Vladimir Putin on Saturday urged Iran and North Korea to abandon their suspected nuclear weapons programs. Just read the accounts of deal with both countries, but also find pledge any post-war help for Iraq. Guerrillas struck a glancing but bold blow in the heart of U.S. occupation on Saturday in Iraq, firing 3 rockets with grenades at Baghdad hotels filled with American soldiers and civilians. And by the way, I thought this was I got the following email from Baghdad, Iraq. Dear Ms. Bell, I'm sorry that I was a little slow on the update of this news. This news out there is a little slow at times in Iraq. I just want to say all that and the waiting for you and trying to figure out how to win over here. With all this commo stuff out here, we might just find a way to get this Sean A. Baghdad. There you are. The California election debacle goes on, or whatever. Concerned about spoiler candidates on the left and right, Ray Davis and Arnold Schwarzenegger have moved quickly in the last few days to portray the race as a head-to-head contest. And this item caught my attention. The office phone number of a federal judge ruled last week that a national do-not-call registry is unconstitutional if this was among the thousands already on the list. So the judge who ruled it was unconstitutional put himself on the do-not-call list. Nevertheless, thought it was unconstitutional. Let's see, his number was added in July to the registry, designed to block telemarketer. How do you handle those, by the way? Do you hang up on them, or do you listen to their spiel and say no thank you, or, in the beginning you tend to be polite to them. Generally, or most generally, you're polite on them, but not always. So, I wonder how you handle those kinds of calls. In a moment, Jose has to go. I hope you're getting a chance to look at this website. It's right up there. we know, quoting an official, it's out all across Italy, and we don't know the cause yet. So that's the CNN story of the moment. And again, I want to thank somebody on Fast Blast for sending that link to me, that CNN link. That was Phil in Nashville, Tennessee. Thank you, Phil. So what was sort of scuttlebutt is now officially confirmed. Whether it is terrorist related, obviously they'd have no idea. Now, on to the subject of rods. Once again, I really thought that Jose Escamilla had something there, and I still think he may, but I also tend to think that the website, UFOtheater.com, kind of blows it out of the water. And today's quote was, well, yes, it's pretty damning. Here is Jose Escamilla. Hey, buddy.
Hey, Art, how are you?
I'm all right. It's good to have you on.
Hey, it's good to be back, man. It's good to have you back on the air.
Thank you. I know you worked for years and years on the whole rods and sunsets, and so you were certainly familiar, obviously, when I talked to you the other day, yesterday, with this website. And as you go through the photographs that are here, say, I agree with your comment. I think it is kind of damning as you go through the photographs. There is no question about the fact that what they have here are rods.
Exactly. Well, the rods are insects that emulate rods.
Well,
And,
I don't know.
that's true. That's something I could pretty damning, pretty damning evidence there. But you have to look at what they're doing here. They're setting up the camera at night.
Yes.
That means they have to set up low shutter setting in order to capture anything that moves at night. Your screen low light. Right. Now, what is the biggest thing that I've always maintained? I've been on the show many times, many years. I've always said, look, set up a shutter setting called cite. That's eliminating insects, emulating, and birds emulating rods. You do a low shutter setting for the night or during the day. You look at insects that will resemble rods. And I've maintained this for many years. That's why I've been decided to go along. But yeah, it looks scary. I mean, insects do look like rods. But when you shoot the high shutter setting, so that, I set up the type of protocol for 1 meter, 1 meter only. That's to eliminate the kind of insects that you see like this. These guys are ready to set the ground that I covered back in 1994, 1995.
Well, the part of it that I think rocked my world a little bit, Jose, were the pictures where they actually compared the photographs on RoswellRods.com to what they've got here. And some of them are simply, they're not close, they are rods.
Well,
They're
they're
rods as you depicted.
They're very similar as we depict them, but we also have high shutter setting rod footage that look at high shutter setting for rods, and when you get an insect, the high shutter setting protocol that's set. I wish you put along. And I was telling you in broad daylight, 9 times you're going to have to give up the high shutter setting that cameras are still put nowadays.
Well, but they're making the case, though. And by the way, this Brian Essent, I made my best attempt to get hold of him. Sent several emails, trying to find a number 4 in South Texas. Couldn't find one. The only one on the web was disconnected, so I couldn't get hold of the photographer. But he maintains that the curvature of the lens, all lenses that do this kind of work, produce the effect.
Yeah, but Art, I beg to differ on that. And like I said, very damning evidence there. But they're doing nighttime stuff, and they're doing low shutter settings. Stuff that covered back in '94. I'll reiterate. When you shoot at high shutter settings, broad daylight, a rod is a rod, an insect is an insect. You can tell an insect. You will not show the rod shape that you see at nighttime low shutter.
That's a long one.
I went back to the mother website and I looked, and they're not debunkers. I mean, they're really more ufologists, frankly, than they are debunkers.
Okay, that's fine.
So
if
it
you
doesn't.
want to be true to ufologists, then they should really come down and sit with me and go through every single video that I have.
So you would invite him to do exactly
I've
that.
always invited everyone, Art. You know, I'm not in this. So I am not in here to try to pull the wool over people's eyes, much less make them laugh.
Well, no, but there is one possibility you've got to acknowledge, Jose, and that is that while you may be dead on and they may be everything you say they are, there's also the possibility that Besant and company might be connected.
No, they are correct with both shutter shooting. I've already covered that ground. I mentioned it many times on your show, on other television shows and radio shows. Look, you shoot a low shutter setting, you're going to get fooled. You're going to think you see something, but it's not the real deal. That's why it's love, not just in protocol.
All right, then, how about this question? Why do you think that even at the low shutter speeds that we've got here, why would you imagine that what is an insect comes out looking so incredibly like a rod?
Man, I went through that in 1994.
Well, go through it now.
I went through it and then I said, okay. You know, first time I videotaped rods, back in March 1994, you can hear me on the camera. I was looking at these things in the viewfinder.
Right.
And I said, oh, that's a bug, that's a bird, that's a bug, that's a bird. I was shooting at 1/2000 shutter setting, which was the highest shutter setting available on cameras at that time. And it wasn't until I went back and started looking at the footage frame by frame that I saw insects passing by, and you could see the legs, the antennae, and the wings flapping. You see the birds, and then these things that were blurry.